All right. If you're not a member of BIZPAC, you need to be. If you own a business, you should be. If you're a C-level executive, you ought to be. If you're a young professional on your way up, this is the group you want to be around. Most of our BIZPAC members, within 90 days of joining, are already doing business with other BIZPAC members. I love it. I love to see that. I do business with some of them as well.
Yes, you do.
And I highly recommend you get involved in this group, because integrity is job one here. Depth of character is the test requirement. So let's see, we're ready to go on to the forum, and we're going to move into talking to the candidates now. The way that this came about is I didn't want to do all this work, right? I've got better things to do that are more fun, and we couldn't find another group that was pulling together a comprehensive, all the Republican ladies groups, all the Tea Party conservative groups, all the conservative groups. We wanted to pull them all together and have a deep dive question and answer forum with subject matter experts and dignitaries asking the candidates for Harris County Judge the important questions. And there was no other group that was willing to do that. And so we just said, okay, let's get together and let's bite the bullet, let's write the checks, and let's have that.
Pun.
And we invited
Pun.
We invited a few of the groups to come join with us to do that. And initially it looked like we were going to have a nice, big, large forum. But we quickly found out that there are some groups that call themselves conservatives or Republicans around Harris County that were not committed to having an all-candidates forum. Okay, that's the bottom line there. The criteria that you're looking at was not set by BIZPAC. This criteria was originally set by that consortium, mainly HYR, Houston Young Republicans, and Urban Reform, I think is who said it, and they originally vetted the candidates. So that kind of tells you where this came from. And I want to take just a second and kind of point out, running for office is not easy. If you throw your hat in that ring, you've stepped in a hornet's nest. You are lied about, you're stepped on, you're talked behind your back. Everything you've ever done or not done or been accused of, true or false, starts going. I mean, you really set yourself up. So if somebody in this room is a candidate, I respect you and I want you to know that. It's not an easy thing to do. And so think about that as we talk, as I go further, telling you what's going on here. Republican candidates for this office, we had, is that 9 or 8? Yeah, 9 candidates. 9 candidates filed for this office. Only a small portion of them met the financial criteria and campaigning criteria to come to the forum. And we were surprised earlier today. Well, maybe I should just back up and see what happened. We have quite a few dignitaries asking questions here that are subject matter experts that are deep dive into the job of Harris County Judge. I've had the pleasure of talking to these candidates on the phone, having meetings with them in person over day after day. And I will tell you that I have a much higher and greater respect and friendship with Randy, with Warren Howe, and with Vidal than ever. I'm so impressed with these guys. It's going to be a difficult decision for you coming out of this room. But when we had the question answer kind of deep dive with 2 of the other candidates, they thought about it and they bailed out. And that was their choice. One of them bailed out at 10 o'clock Friday night is when I got notified. That was Alex. And then this morning at 11 o'clock, I got a call from Martina, who told me that she had prayed about it and God told her not to come to the forum. So, okay. So I'm telling you that the primary election is designed, right, to tell us who's really running and what they're really running about. We're going to move into some questions now. I'm going to ask the candidates to come up on stage, and we'll start moving on through it. So Mr. Howe, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Kubash.
Come on down.
Come on up.
You're the next contestants on the forum.
We're going to have fun.
Come on, Tex.
Randy. Randy.
We're going to have a great time.
Good luck. Good to see you. Good luck, Warren. Are we on? Are we on?
All right, everybody's microphone working?
Test.
Yep.
Test.
Good.
Test.
Yep.
Is it working? Give a thumbs up and sound it.
Randy, is your mic working? Talk.
I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it on?
Are we good?
All good.
Okay, here
All
we
right,
go.
Very good.
The job of Harris County Judge, generally it's an administrative function. I knew Ed Emmett and I worked with Ed Emmett on several things, and to me it looked like one of the more boring and very tense jobs. Occasionally there was some glory whenever he handled an emergency situation or something like that. But it's about adopting a budget, setting taxes, calling for bond elections, building, maintaining county infrastructure. This is essential and important for this county with some far forward-looking skills that need to be implemented there. We have jails in this county. In my opinion, they're lightly attended.
Lightly?
Yeah. And some other things that we have here. Our flood control district is a major issue. We're going to get into questions about all of these. And one major area that we'll get into is the Department of Emergency Management. So what I would like to do now is ask each candidate to take about 3 to 5 minutes, give a self-introduction to you before we move into questions. And we're going to start out with Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Joe. And welcome. This is a big group, an important group, and when we saw, I know all three of us that are here, when we saw the questions and how thoughtful they were, we've been at a lot of functions together. This is the most comprehensive that we've had. I came here in 1975, 47 years ago. During that time, I went to law school here, started my career here as a federal prosecutor, and I've been had my law practice and built my family and my business all through that time. During that time, Judge Lindsay had just come into office in 1974. Harris County was 2 million people. The city was 1 million of that. There was this donut around Harris County that always gave us 3 county judges for the next 44 years, Judge Lindsay, Judge Eccles, and Judge Emmett. And most of that time, they did not have a majority on Commissioner's Court. In other words, the Democrats outnumbered the total of the 5. But you always had sound business judgment leaders that were going to do the right thing, run the infrastructure. Since 1836, the Texas Constitution, when we were a republic, set up 254 counties to do 3 things. 1, your legal system. 2, your public health system. And 3, transportation. In each one of those areas, on the legal side, I was a former assistant U.S. attorney, a federal prosecutor. Years later, I became chairman of the State Bar of Texas, which was the head of the whole state bar with 90,000 lawyers. It was about the worst year of my life, that term. Everyone had an opinion on how to run the world. But I've been a successful lawyer and prosecutor and the administrative head of all the lawyers in the state. On the public health side, I'm on the board of a small hospital called Methodist Hospital, and I've been on there for 30 years. There are 18 board members. I'm the 3rd senior in 30 years. We have a bigger budget than the whole county. We're the #1 hospital in Texas, number 16 in the country out of 6,000 hospitals. So we know the business. I've been there. I've done strategic planning. I've been involved with payroll decisions, financing decisions, and to the tune of probably in all the positions I've been in to about $200 billion worth of decisions. On the transportation side, I was Orlando Sanchez, in a weak moment, nominated me to go on the Port Commission, and I was a Port Authority Commissioner for many years here, running the infrastructure of how to get all our water out. All of our water gets out in Buffalo Bayou, folks, okay? And the port's right there, too. So I've had the transportation experience also, as our Chamber of Commerce is called, the Greater Houston Partnership Board. I was actually the chairman of the partnership board for the transportation committee of the partnership. And 20 years ago, when I was there, we were fighting for the I-45 money that Lena Hidalgo turned around and sued the state to about give us $8 billion, and they turned around and sued the state. It's just, the incompetence is just palpable, what's going on. So I'm here to return our county back. We're now 4.7 million. The donut now is 2.5 million. The city is 2.2. Let's assume we don't get another vote out of the city, but we get the donut back up. And we're going to have a Republican wave this year. We have now a flawed candidate in Beto O'Rourke. We all know who he is now. And, you know, he's a, right. I know. Who could be, you know, now we know, because he ran for president, that he's against guns and he's against oil and gas. I guess if he was against Friday night football, we could all hate him, you know. But he's there. I mean, he's a flawed, so we're going to have that. We don't have straight ticket voting. Everything is in our favor to take back Congress and to take back Harris County. And if we don't take it back now, and we're a purple county. We're not a deep blue county whatsoever. Ed Emmett only lost by 19,000 votes. Ted Cruz lost by 230,000. We're razor thin, and Emmett would have still been our county judge. Let's get back to business. Let's get back to infrastructure. And I'm the only one that can beat her, because I bring the Latino community too with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that, Vidal. So our next candidate, Randy Kubash.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Randy Kubash, and most people know me as the younger brother of Councilmember Michael Kubash. He won 3 terms in the Houston City Council. And most people know the Kubash brothers as people who led a number of ballot initiatives. Namely, the most notable one was 2010 was the red light cameras. We gathered 55,000 signed petitions across the city of Houston, and we got the ballot initiative on the ballot, and 186,633 citizens of Houston voted against the cameras, voted them out.
Thank you.
But it wasn't over then. It wasn't over, because the city of Houston and the red light camera company, they pulled a fast one. They filed a federal lawsuit. It's a friendly lawsuit. And they got Judge Lynn Hughes to invalidate the election. So we had to do something about it, because the vote of the people is sacred. That's a sacred thing. And we need to restore it. So you're looking at the person that right here, Randy Kubash, filed an amicus brief to intervene in the federal lawsuit. And I took that lawsuit all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and we won. Let me also tell you that that was a huge win for the citizens of Houston and Harris County. And I also want to say that the Houston Chronicle, 6 months after the cameras had been taken down, they reported that accidents were down 30%. So that was a huge win for the citizens of Harris County and Houston. So I also want to tell you that my brothers and I have filed another fought in the city on a number of other issues. The church groups were complaining. They were trying to restrict and criminalizing giving food to the hungry people in the county. We fought that and that ballot. Also, my brothers and I, we fought the bathroom ordinance, which had to do when the Mayor Parker passed an ordinance to allow men to go into women's bathrooms, and we fought that ordinance, and we won. We won that one. So I also want to tell you that I'm a native Texan. I'm a lifelong Republican, and I'm a true Republican. I've never voted for Democrats, and I've never financially contributed Democratic candidates or any Democratic organization. I also want to tell you that I've been a precinct chair. I've been the finance secretary for the Republican Party of Harris County, so we're raising money. I also want to tell you that I was the president of the Downtown Houston Pachyderm Club for several years, and we grew the club, and we had straw polls, and I believe that we helped in a small way get Ted Cruz elected. And I also want to tell you that I believe that fighting corruption. My brother, when I decided to run for Harris County Judge, I said, when I become county judge, I'm going to call out these judges. I'm going to call them out. I'm going to tell the public. I'm going to call a press conference. Then my brother and I got the 156 names of these people who had been murdered by habitual violent criminals who had been released on bonds that should have been held in a county jail. They should have never gotten a bond. And I told my brother, we got to do something about it. And I can't wait. I cannot wait till I become county judge. This is a problem that's happening right now. And so I said, you know, if you call, that's my brother Michael Kubash back there. You stand up, Mike, just everybody knows who you are. I'm telling you, he's a warrior and he's my consultant. But I said, if you call a press conference back there, brother, all the media will come. And two Fridays ago, we called a press conference and we had pastors there to pray for the people who, the families of these people who had been slain. And because they need comfort, they need to know somebody cares about it, that the community cares. And also, we decided to file a judicial complaint against every one of these judges that have released defendants, habitual violent offenders back in our community. We are sending a strong message to these judges. I'm not waiting till I become county judge. I'm not waiting then. We're going to do something now. We're filing these judicial complaints. You can go to Michael Kubash or Randy Kubash on Facebook, and you can see we are filing them because I want to tell you, it's a good old boy system, the judicial and the state bar. They protect their own, and you'll never see their name on a judicial complaint, but we're putting it on Facebook. We're putting that on Facebook so you can see, and I have these, and you can look at them, and I want to tell you that Randy Kubash and the Kubash brothers, we're battle-tested political warriors. I want to just, you know that. Randy, I want to tell you one story about
Randy.
I took care of my father. I told my father he was ailing. I took care of him till the day he died. I said I'd be there for several years. Also, I'm the kind of person that I told my mother the same thing. I took care of her for 7 years before she passed. And I want to just tell you, that's the kind of person that you're dealing with who put his own personal life on hold to take care of his parents. But also, I want to also tell you that I'm pro-life just like your mother was.
Thank you, Randy. And our good friend Warren Howe.
Well, I'm going to try not to take that much time. I hate to bore people. I've been here 71 years, which is regretful, but it's okay. I've been in business 50 years. I've been making payroll since I was 21 years old. I started managing businesses when I was 17. I had a Texaco service station that I went to work at, and the owner left and went to North Carolina and said, you can handle it. So at 17, I was running, and still in high school, I was running a Texaco service station. So I ended up with 2 of them. And so I guess what I'm trying to say, and my biological father died when I was 14, so I really kind of missed my childhood. But I've had a good life. I've got a good wife, 45 years, sitting right here. I've got 2 great children, 4 grandchildren, and I got some really good friends out here in the audience, and I really thank y'all for coming today. I really do. My experience is why I'm here. I've been in business 50 years with construction, real estate development, manufacturing. I had an oil field tubulars business. And for the last 30 years, I've had Risk Management, Inc. and Employers Risk Insurance. And we built the manual on how to operate your business in a safe manner, handle your human resources for 2,500 companies. And that is going to be invaluable when I grab the sheriff and take him to the jails to figure out what the heck is going on. How did we end up with a guard brutally beat sodomized and raped. How did that happen? And so it's got to be protocol. Of course, we're undermanned as well, and I'll get into that. But the thing that's really, really, really different than anyone else up here is the fact that I am from the private sector. I don't have anybody's endorsements. Yeah, the major donor in my campaign is right here. And you know, I'm here because something needed to be done. I have watched this county go down just step by step. For instance, if you go to my website, of course, you'll see all my positions. It's warrenhowe.info. You'll see not only what my positions are, but what I will specifically do. I don't dance around the solution. I tell you, this is what I'm going to do, whether you agree with it or not. And when we get into the question part, you'll see what I'm talking about. And I don't need $33 million to tell me why we have a serious violent crime problem. But you know, since I have Risk Management Inc., I was thinking about going ahead and building that manual and producing the report and getting it out to Lena along with an invoice for $33 million. Now, if she'll pay within 10 days, I'll give her a $30 million discount. What do you think? You know, gotta, you know, help them out. But as a private sector guy, I'm going to redraw our precincts. I don't know how corrupt you know this is. This is Randy Ellis's drawing. This is not a jigsaw puzzle. This is our precincts, okay? Our 4 precincts. Rodney did a great job. Now, even before he drew it up, it was a mess. Now, they at Commissioner's Court are never going to go for it. So this is my drawing of the precincts. You may notice it has a northeast, a southeast, a southwest, and a northwest segment. Because this needs to be done. We need to stop the gerrymandering and the moving around, because this neighborhood now just is more Spanish than it used to be. So let's take that and move that into Precinct 2, which is exactly what they did. They ran a street, look, one street up here, and that connected it to this, so now that made it Precinct 2. I mean, come on. Now, I met with Commissioner Ramsey, and he's a fine man. He's a good professional engineer, and he's handling 6,000 miles of road, so we need him. We really do. But he said this would never happen. And what that told me is that they will never let it happen. So guess what? This has to be on the ballot in 2024, folks. And the voters need to vote on this, and we need permanent boundaries and no more gerrymandering, because that does nothing for Harris County. I mean, nothing.
Thank you, sir. We're going to move on into some questions here with our good friend Orlando Sanchez. I think Orlando has some words of wisdom for us. As you know, Orlando is the former Harris County Treasurer.
How did you
just
climb up there
Did a fantastic
like
job
that?
for us up there. And when he's not traveling and hunting and fishing, living the life I wish I was, he's over here in Houston helping out with different political organizations. Orlando, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you all for taking part of your Sunday to be here. I thank BIZPAC and all the sponsors for organizing this, and thank the candidates for sacrificing and putting their name out there. This is not easy. As you know, I've run for office before several times. I've had the pleasure of serving at the city level at large, ran against Lee Brown, and I've had the pleasure of serving in a countywide position for 12 years in Harris County. There's a vast difference between the county and the city. The city, the mayor is the 800-pound gorilla. In the city, everybody works for the mayor. The police chief, the fire chief, public works, parks director, everybody except the sovereignly elected city council members and the controller. The county is completely different. The county is a red versus blue game, and right now the blue team has the advantage. And that's why we lose votes 3-2. Despite what people think, the county is not run by Lena Hidalgo. Actually, the leadership at the county is Rodney Ellis. And so what you see is Rodney Ellis's many years vision when he was a state senator of reshaping criminal justice in Texas. Remember, he wanted to do away with the sovereignly elected state criminal court judges. And so he's accomplishing what he wanted to accomplish. He's basically shedding his experiment right before us and the taxpayers of Harris County. And so you've seen the results. So this is a red versus blue game. And at the county, nobody works for the county judge. The police chief doesn't, which is the equivalent of the sheriff. He's sovereignly elected. The county treasurer is sovereignly elected. The district court's sovereignly elected. The county clerk, sovereignly elected. They all work for you, not the commissioners. And so we've got to all pull together and elect the candidate that has the best opportunity of beating the blue team and Lena Hidalgo. We have 2 shots at it. We either have Lena Hidalgo or we have Precinct 2 that we can take back. Either one of those or both of those puts us back in the driver's seat. When I served as Harris County Treasurer, I can tell you that the county finances were balanced. We never borrowed money as we used to do in the past on what's called tax anticipation notes. Because the county always ran out of money at the end of the year, you pay your taxes at the beginning of the year. Every time the county borrows money, it's a cost to you. Think of county bonds as a credit card. You borrow money. Yes, the county gets a great rate in Wall Street, but you're still borrowing money. So the county was in great financial shape up until 2018. And our criminal justice system was under control. We had one of the lowest homicide rates in the nation. And in less than 24 months, this gang of 3, the blue team, has turned Harris County and the city of Houston into the murder capital of the United States. And so we collectively have a lot of work to do. And so I thank these gentlemen and the other candidates that have decided to run. I'm supposed to ask a question, and I don't want to make it terribly difficult, but I want to share with you that there's a lot of information now about what Harris County has done in stripping away the responsibility of the county clerk who used to count the votes. Remember, Stan Stannard was responsible for counting the votes on election night. And what did the county do? They gave it to someone that they hired. Who's they? Lena Hidalgo, Rodney Ellis, and Adrian Garcia. The county administrator works for them. Who did Stan Stannard work for when he counted the votes? The people of the city of Harris County. That is exactly correct. And so my question to you guys is, the office of county treasurer, for example, many years ago was emasculated in the same way. The core duties of the treasury were stripped away and given to the Office of Financial Services in Harris County. Again, who does the county treasurer work for? The people. Who does financial services work for? The 3 commissioners. Right. So they're not accountable to you. So the question is, are you committed to financial transparency in ensuring that the core duties are given back to the sovereignly elected offices like county clerk and county treasurer so that they can oversee the fiscal operations of Harris County for the future?
Yes.
Great question.
Of course you would be in support of that. One of the first items that all of us have is firing the elections administrator and firing Mr. Berry, the czar, the new supreme czar that has taken over 22 departments at Harris County, and he answers basically to Rodney and Lena Hidalgo. You got to get back to the elections administrator. Only about 10 counties out of 254 in the state have them. And they did it here to harvest votes and to steal votes and to basically make it impossible to have a fair election. So let's give it back to Stan Stannard. He's going to win. And let's get, where's Kyle Scott? He's running for county. He's going to be over there, and when we, we're going to give him back the power to turn the spigot off. And when we kill bail reform, we're either going to kill it or starve it. He's going to be the one turning the spigot off for money. So yes, we're committed to that. All of us would be. And I am particularly going to be, this is going to get done on January 3rd by 10:30 in the morning. The meeting starts at 10. You all will be invited. This is going to happen on January 2nd. All of you will be invited when one of us gets sworn in as county judge. But the next day, this is going to happen before lunch. This is not going to be executive. We're not going to have a bunch of policy witnesses or anything like that. We're going to be in the business of doing things exactly what Orlando's describing, return the power to where it is constitutionally started, and give them back their function.
Thank you. Mr. Howe, do you have anything to add to that?
Not much. I mean, obviously, everything they did and have done is to their benefit to remove the power of the people to the power of 3 people, okay? And Lena Hidalgo is not working for Harris County. She's working for Rodney Ellis. And you can imagine the first day that she walked in office and he came in and sat next to her and said, I'm going to help you because I know this is new for you. And oh boy, here we go. So, yes, the office of the election administrator has to be removed, and it has to be given back to the tax assessor collector, and the county clerk needs to count the votes. And we'll get into how those votes need to look and all of that, but there's not much else to add. I mean, we literally have to reverse. Did I lose my?
Yes. You lost your mic.
Lost your mic. So I think he's bringing you another one to see if we can.
I can give him the handheld.
Yeah, let's give him a handheld.
Is this better?
Nope.
No, it
He's
fell
going to
out.
bring you a handheld, Warren. Okay.
Anyway, we have to reverse everything she's done, basically, and everything that they've thought about. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm not sure you can do it the first day because it's going to take hours and hours and hours. And you know, my idea of court is from 9 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we all go have lunch. But it's going to take a lot of fast work to get rid of all this stuff and straighten it out. It really is a mess.
All right.
Well, I'm Randy Kubash, and I have one of these. Maybe every one of you have been given. This has got a contract with Harris County, the Kubash contract with Harris County. And on I plan on implementing, on number 4, I plan to stop all, if you look at it, all executive sessions. It's bad optics. These are backroom dealings going on because this is a way they get around a public forum because there's a Public Meetings Act. And so they can have these secret meetings called executive sessions back there where they can make all their backroom dealings. And I'm against it. The city of Houston operates without that, and most cities do. I believe this is a room for corruption, and I want to tell everyone here that I'm going to shine a bright light on all of these backroom dealings. We're going to shine a bright light. We're going to audit. We're going to investigate all this backroom dealings and all that's been going on, and we're going to shine a bright light on it. We're going to go to the public. We're going to let the public know what's going on, what's been going on, and we're not going to hide it, okay? So I want you to know you need someone with courage and someone who's going to do it. And number 13 is we're going to eliminate all unnecessary bureaucracy. And number 10 is that we will eliminate all spending that does not apply to the core services of Harris County. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kubash. Our friend Mary Nan Huffin, who just got elected to District G, right? Yay! Yeah. We're so proud of Mary Nan Huffin. When we found out she was in the hunt and we saw who she was running against, we said we got to help her win this thing.
I'm not as
Well,
spry as
just-
Orlando Sanchez. I can't jump up and down off the stage like that.
No problem.
Now, as you know, Mary Nan is the legal counsel for the Policemen's Union, right? So she's going to be asking a question of these candidates that is really coming from her knowledge and her work in that position. Go right
So
ahead.
as of this year, the city of Houston has led New York City, Chicago, and LA in the number of homicides, while our police officers, those numbers are decreasing. How will you increase the number of police officers that we have in Harris County? And how will you ensure that they will have the resources they need to do this incredibly important job?
Thank you, Mary Nan.
You start.
Let
Your turn.
Warren,
My turn.
Your turn. Go
Warren's
first.
turn.
I'm happy to do it. This is a real big problem. Actually, some of it started in the 1990s when there was a time where we quit training police officers. Now, 20 years later, we've got a lot of police officers retiring. A good buddy of mine that I play golf with is retiring in 3 weeks. Very same reason. The fact of the matter is, right now we have one officer per every 2,300 citizens. The FBI tells us that we need to have one officer per every 1,000 citizens. So we are less than half of the number of police officers that we really need. Now, in addition to that, it's kind of like the perfect storm, really. Because when COVID hit, the judges went home, shut the courthouses down. You know, Johns Hopkins University just came out with a report on how stupid the shutdown was. Well, they're right. Make a long story short, the bonds there's a law that got passed, and someone told me the other day, the one word in that whole law that was really bad was the instructions to the judges had in there least. That means they give them the smallest bond possible, or a PR bond. We've got to change bonding, or you do not get a bond for capital murder. You do not get multiple bonds for violent criminals. A good friend of mine, or not a good friend of mine, but a good friend of mine's neighbor is being buried because his son, who killed that canine dog, killed him the last week, okay? And these multiple bonds should not happen. If you go out and commit a violent crime with a bond, then that bond should be forfeited and you go back to jail. So we've got a lot of work to do. It's going to take about $350 million more in the budget than what we now have, which is $450 million. So the first thing I'm going to do is raise our budget to $800 million. And I know we have the money because we're going to get rid of all the stuff that we've been doing that we're not supposed to be doing, and all the contracts and all the things that are crazy. Hopefully there's some exit strategy in those contracts. We'll have to review that, certainly. But we've got to have an $800 million budget. We've got to increase the police force. We've got to increase the pay so we can compete with other municipalities and get some police officers from other areas. You can't do it right now because we're paying them too little money, okay? So we've got to raise the compensation to the police officers, raise the number of police officers, get the jails straightened out, which is a frickin' mess. I had to clean that up, okay? And get the judges back. Now here's the thing. We've got a lot of good judges running, but it's going to take, we're not going to be able to replace all of the liberal judges. Hopefully we can replace most of them, and then we can put the pressure on the rest of them
Time. Okay.
to do their job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kubash.
I'd just like to stand up when I talk, and I also want to refer you to my contract, which is increasing the law enforcement. We're going to increase it, and for the law enforcement, the funding for it, they've decreased it. They're using the money for social programs. It's atrocious. They spent $10 million on legal offense of people who are fighting their deportation orders. They wasted $14 million on a hospital that was never used over at NRG. They're spending $50 million for lighting and planting trees over there to try to improve the neighborhoods to fight crime. That's ridiculous. That's insanity. It doesn't work. Anybody that knows it, it's just a feel-good project to them. But I want to say that the law enforcement needs to hear a clear message from the county, the elected officials, that they are appreciated, that we care about them, and that we need to start these classes for them to become law enforcement officers at the Houston and the county. They're underfunded. It is just atrocious, and I agree. But let me also agree with what Warren has said. But I also want to tell you that we have a problem in the jail, and that's because the judges are not working. They're not doing their job. There's all these thousands of cases that are not being adjudicated, and that we've got to get these judges back to work. They need to work in the evening. They need to start working in the evening, hold night court if they need to, whatever they got to do. We've got to get, so I want to tell you, my brother Michael and I, we're putting a fire under them for not releasing these defendants. And I want to tell you, they are feeling the message. We're sending a strong message to them. They need to start looking after the public. They have an oath of office.
10 seconds.
They have an oath of office that they are to protect the public, and they're not doing it. And I'm going to send a strong message. Do you have any doubt in that?
Time. Okay. All right. This is a great question. Would you like to pose this question?
We give Vidal the answer.
This is for Vidal. Oh, Vidal's turn.
I have an answer.
Would you like to answer?
Sure.
I think you ought to let him answer.
Did I create suspense?
The fault does not lie with your moderator.
Mary
Please
Nan,
stand
you
by.
asked what were the things that you'll do as county judge. First, kill bail reform, okay?
right.
Shoot it in the head, get rid of it, get the bad actors off the street.
Yeah.
Second, the sheriffs didn't get the second half of the promised pay raise that Ed Emmett did it in 2 steps. And before 2018, they did the first one. For the last 3 years, the sheriffs have not gotten the promised pay increase. Of 5,000 or so sheriffs, a third have quit, a third are eligible for retirement. Get them their money back so that they can start rebuilding that sheriff department. Give the constables back, number 3. The rollover money, the $22 million that Barry, the czar, took away from all the commissioners. The constables know where the hot spots are. Then the 4th thing, put the DA on a performance plan. She wants 60 more prosecutors. Okay, we're going to give you 15 for the first 90 days. We'll see how much of the 118,000 cases that are in the backlog right now that you reduce it. You don't reduce that and you don't show significant improvement, then you don't get the next 15. And that's how you do it. You fully fund law enforcement, return the money that they have, get the DA on a performance plan, and kill bail reform to keep these guys off the streets. That's how you do it.
Excellent. I'm so glad I went back and let you answer that question. We'll move on to the second most popular question on our email poll, homelessness in Houston. When I grew up in Houston for 56, 57 years, I didn't see a lot of homeless until the last 10 or 15, and man, has it gotten to be a real issue here. Am I the only one seeing them? And they're living under bridges in our neighborhoods and messing things up. There's all kinds of problems related to that. What can you as county judge do to responsibly rid our county of this problem ongoingly and manage it? And let's do that in 1 minute, Randy Kubash.
Well, I remember my brother Michael going over to San Antonio. They have what they call a haven of hope over there, and I believe that it'd benefit Harris County to look into and maybe implementing something like the Haven of Hope, which will assist the homeless population being transitioned back into the sheltering, back into a home environment while protecting the public. Let me also say that would caveat into that is many of the shortage that the sheriff department's experiencing are data entry clerks. There are many warrants out there that people have not been data entered. And that therefore, when a police officer pulls these people over or detains them, they don't show up because they haven't been data entered and the sheriff hasn't acknowledged it. So I believe that we need to fund the sheriff so that these warrants, because I had a police officer just tell me yesterday that had happened, and this person had multiple warrants. He went ahead and detained them. But that is a problem. That's a problem we have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Warren, would you like to handle that question now?
Boy, do I.
Okay.
The homeless are made up of 6 groups. One is truly aged and disabled. I saw one the other day. It was horrible shape. The second is people who are hiding from the law. The third is a group that fully intends to live the rest of their life hidden from everything. They do not want to be part of society at all. The fourth are the drug and the alcohol addicts, and the fifth are the mentally ill. The sixth group are made up of people down on their luck and really in need of help to get back on their feet. The first week in office, I will get the sheriff and request that HPD join us in building a census of who is out there that we can put into a data bank. In this census, we can have the officers determine which of the 6 groups a person appears to be part of. Secondly, arrest anyone in which a warrant may exist. That'll get a few of them off. If they don't have an ID and refuse to tell us who they are, they'll have to be detained until we can determine their identity. And long and short, we have to make relationships with addiction clinics, mental health facilities. But if we can get everyone off and the one person, the people that need help, get them into that temporary hospital that never saw a patient, get them some county work, and then find a job for them while they're in there.
Thank you. Mr. Martinez.
The Open Door Mission has been around almost 50 years on Harrisburg, has 200 men, indigent men, homeless men. It's a 9-month program. I've been on that board for 30 years or so now, and I was the chairman of that board for many years also. I think I'm the emeritus chairman right now. It boils down to drug addiction and mental health. These are from the thousands of people that we've taken care of over these years. And if you take care of those 2 things, the mental health, I don't know if you read the newspaper, but we now have about 171 more beds for psych beds. That's a huge difference it's going to make, that you can steer the actual mentally health homeless out there. But it's the drug situation, and if you go, it doesn't matter. There's 15 agencies. We know where they are. There's a homeless coalition. You don't have to take an audit. They can tell you right now where most of them are. And the number one reason that they don't stay in long-term rehab places is because they don't want to rehab. They just want to have a place to eat and have warm shelter. But they don't want to. So we got to tackle that. You tackle those 2 things, and it looks like as a county that we're doing that already with 171 new psych beds. That's going to help solve the problem for the homeless here. But it boils down to those 2 things.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, since I'm a travel reporter from the mid-'90s until now, I guess I'll handle this one.
Okay.
Can you see it up
You know
there?
something about
A
travel?
little bit. Oh, and by the way, I have more transportation experience than all 3 of these guys put together. I'm just saying. Just saying. Maybe I should run, huh? All right, question number 3. The Harris County toll roads were established during the construction of the Beltway 8 system over a 20-year period. Did anybody go to the grand opening of the Beltway back in like 1988 in Huey Lewis? I was there. A popular former county judge even ran on the promise of eliminating toll fees once the Beltway project was paid off. And of course, that didn't happen. Rather, Commissioner's Court increased the tolls. Now, our toll roads are the nicest and best maintained roads in the greater Houston area. Many Harris County residents have insisted this issue be addressed as more toll roads are being built and toll fees continue to increase, especially on 99 out there on the west side. Will you seek to end it? And if so, how will you do it?
Let's start out, I think, with Mr. Howe as the rotation. Is that right?
I don't think so. I think it's Mr. Martinez.
Mr. Martinez?
I'll be happy to take
Okay.
it. You got to look at the $600 to $700 million that comes from the toll road that keeps your tax base low. So you got to look to see where you're going to substitute that money. Otherwise, our county taxes are going to go up. You don't want that to happen. But here's where I think that the solution, or a big part of the solution is, you know who's using our infrastructure? This is the biggest port in the United States sitting right here, okay? We get 3 million containers. 3 million, that one truck is taking a container. They're using our infrastructure. They're using our system. They're using our highways. Start charging them more. Okay, they pay a certain amount, and it hasn't gone up much. But we got 3 million users a year that are using all the toll roads and 99 and all, and start charging them. The wear and tear on that is theirs. And we're a hub of commerce. We got railroad lines here. We got highways, but they need to pay their fair share. And I'm willing to look at anything that would keeps our taxes low. And if we can find substitute areas or reduce what's coming from the toll road, I'm in favor of that.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Howell.
Well, we've all been lied to about these toll roads, but it comes from people not understanding what roads are. I mean, there are 4 types of roads. There are the type of roads paid for by income tax. There's the type of road paid for by state sales tax. There's the road paid for by property tax, and then, of course, roads paid for by user fees. So our toll roads, and I will use some of Vidal, we are the biggest port, and we've got a tremendous amount of commercial truck traffic. And that truck traffic should pay more so that we can reduce, if not remove, the fees from the commuter, the normal commuter, who at one time thought that the fees were going to go away anyway. So, but you always have, when you build a road, you've got MRI. You've got maintenance, repair, and improvements. And you can't get away from it. And if you don't pay for it with the user fees, it's going to put pressure on the property taxes. And I want to lower our property taxes, not raise them. So I would never do anything to put pressure on the property taxes. So,
Thank you. Mr. Kubash.
Well, if you look at my number 8 on my contract.
Well, I can't see it. You're not
Okay.
standing
Stand
up.
Brandy. We can't hear
stand
you.
out. Yeah.
Number 8, toll roads. It's just, I feel like we've been lied to. The government is always lying to us. They're just breaking their promise. Well, I want to tell you, I'm not going to break my promise with you. We're going to do something about it. We're not going to be spending money on liberal programs. We're going to only spend money on core services, and we're going to do something about these toll roads. I'm tired of getting lied to. We're going to find out exactly what's going on. We're going to do a full review and audit of it, because I've been told by many people that they're using the money on the toll roads for other purposes.
Thank you. Okay, great. Okay, we've got a question here that this was number 4 popular in the emails that we received that we distilled down. Basically, this is a primary Republican race. We've got some candidates that have donated to or maybe voted for Democrats, and so that needed to be addressed. The 2 of the candidates that this question was really addressed to in all of the emails we got are not here, you know. And so I'm going to just ask the candidates to just go down the line here, take 1 minute and address this issue. Who's next?
It'd be Warren.
Mr. Howe.
This is a really easy question. In 50 years, I have never voted for or supported a Democrat. Now, a long while ago, Democrats and Republicans were not that different. Remember JFK? He was not that different. But now, to be a Republican, for those who don't know it, to be a Republican is to be a strict constitutionalist who abide by the law. To be a Democrat now is to control everything that everyone does, irregardless of the damage to the Constitution. So, what a difference. There's no way I could ever vote for a Democrat, especially now. And thankfully, I never have in the past.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Kubash, please rise.
Well, I want to say I've never financially contributed to Democrats. I haven't voted for them, but I've talked to the two candidates who said they had, and financially, and I believe they regret having done it, and I believe in redemption. Okay, I believe people can change, and I believe in redemption, and I believe that these people are sorry about it. They didn't realize it, and no, I'm serious. And I believe that we can. I believe it. I'm ready to give them a pass on it if y'all are. But I don't. I think it's a disqualifier from my perspective. But I believe that they're sorry about it, and I don't want to. I'm not going to push it with them. I forgive them.
Thank you, Randy.
All right, Vidal, it's all yours.
I voted in every Republican primary since 1980. I was a delegate to Dallas when Reagan was nominated, 88, New Orleans, Bush. I was a vice chairman of the Houston Convention. I've been appointed by Governors Clements, Bush, Perry, and Abbott to multiple state positions, education institutions, Texas Department of Commerce. I have supported over the years the last almost 24 years, I have supported over $100,000 worth of Republican candidates. And during that time, I also I'm one of the sinners that he's talking about, okay? But I was also, when I was chairman of the State Bar of Texas, there are Democrats that are in there. When I'm on the Pork Commission, there are Democrats that are in there. When I have an issue that I'm dealing with on a business basis, there are Democrats that are involved. I never voted for a Democrat. I did give some monies. For instance, 10 years ago, when we're trying to get our widening and deepening money for the port, who sits on the Ways and Means Committee? Well, the only this is during Obama, by the way, and the only person that's sitting there, Democrat from Houston, is Sheila Jackson Lee, okay? So I didn't vote for her, and I didn't vote for her. There's a difference between the business community trying to get her attention and get our $600 million for that. And we did, by the way, and she did do that. The Democrat giving that I've done is incidental. The percentage is somewhere around 12 or 13% in 25 years. It's like 12,000 or 13,000 total for during that time, and it was business related, just like President Trump gave to Hillary the year before he turned around and beat her.
Okay.
I'm going to do the same thing.
Got it.
You have been forgiven.
Oh, let's see. I think that Jim, are you good to go? Sure. Jim Crenshaw, let's bring the mic. Everybody know Jim Crenshaw?
Yeah.
I don't. Tell me about Jim. Joe, tell me about Jim.
If I said Carmen Crenshaw, you'd all stand up and applaud.
Okay, reading this for the first time, so this is a question about our current status on flood control, and actually I was going to add a little twist to it, but
do it.
It's hard to believe it's going to be 5 years this year when Harvey had hit us. But a lot of projects, both infrastructure and capital projects, have been put on the books, and a lot of things are happening in flood control, but we don't hear a great deal about it as just a layperson out in the community. So the question is, many Harris County residents like myself are asking, when will the real causations of the Harris County flooding issues be addressed with the Army Corps of Engineers, State of Texas, and federal government? And I'd like to add one little twist to it. We see so much that's on the books going on. It seems to be taking an inordinate amount of time. But the real issue is that we're losing our habitat. You know, we talked about the beautiful 99 toll road. It's eating up our habitat out there, which is nature's way of flood control. It's moving very rapidly. Are we staying in pace uneven with that loss of habitat, with the projects that are being addressed by our community?
Good question. Now, who's on deck?
That would be Mr. Kubash.
Okay, well, I want to tell you that it's number 6 on my contract with Harris County. Okay. All right. I believe we need to do a full review and audit of these flood mitigation bonds, because I don't trust the government doing what they promised. Back years ago, the city of Houston had a rain tax, and then they wind up paying employees. They were paying employees. They weren't doing infrastructure projects. I don't trust the government. I believe we need to review and audit it. And I also want to say that I'm going to publicize that. And all the bad actors, we need to shine a light on them.
Thank you.
Mr. Martinez.
Sometimes I hate following him. Because I'm so excited about what he says.
It's infectious.
We've all become good friends, everybody, if you can't tell. We really are. Floods. $2.5 billion bonds passed in August 2018. That money, only 18 of the 191 projects that were described, legally described in the bond election have been completed. Another 20 or 30 of them, and by the way, this is a contract with you. This is your taxes. They borrowed all that money, and then they're using 1.4 billion of it for other things because some of those projects don't come online yet. It's just phenomenal. They're doing it right in front of us. The corruption that's going on. They're flipping around projects now. The Cedar Bio was $171 million. They canceled it. It was in the contract for the bond election, and it's just sitting in Adrian Garcia's account right now. What's going on here? They haven't gotten these projects off the ground, and the reason is because they're trying to siphon them off for their social prejudice index. That's what that's stopping all of them.
Amen.
They now have a social prejudice index that they want to apply. She learned that at the George Soros candidate camp, okay? And they're stalling your vote on 191 projects, and you voted on that. It's a contract, and you know who else it's a contract with? The financial community. And the rating agencies give you 2 years when you borrow money from funds that you haven't used yet. They give you 2 years back, and it's not on the budget. We're going to get nailed by Standard & Poor's and Moody's. If it's not this fall, it's going to be next fall. We got to get back that money. We got to get it back in the budget. We got to get our flood program going, and we got to get this water out of here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Warren Howell.
So I'm not going to, I agree with everything he just said, of course, so I'm not going to repeat what he said. I'm going to add on to it, okay? And that there are a few good things. The Army Corps engineer, by the way, is working on a tunnel system that will actually funnel floodwaters back to the ship channel, and they hope to generate enough current to where it would remove the need to dredge. So that's a great program. They've got a reservoir out in the Bear Creek area that once it's complete, I think by June of this year, that's going to help that area completely. But I know in my heart and soul that we can get with the Army Corps engineers and we can double our reservoir capacity, okay? And we can run water out to the rice fields in Katy if we have to, but we, above sea level, can figure out how not to flood when Holland, under sea level, can figure it out.
That's right.
Not bad.
And we will do it, okay? We will do it.
Okay.
That's a great
Very
idea.
good. Very good.
That's good.
Good answer, Warren.
I'll take this one.
It's all yours.
Okay. So
You want to stand?
Will it help you to hear me better?
I don't know. I figure it helps Randy.
I'll just sit right here.
Okay.
The mandates are, you guys have heard me complain about mandates the whole time. That's really how BIZPAC got started. I'm a small business owner, many small businesses, and these ridiculous mandates position the business owner against their customer, against their employee. Everybody's fighting with one another. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. If it was constructed by design to create a chill effect on business, that's what it did. They were successful if that's what it was. Now, I'm not a believer in mandates. I want to hear the candidates each address all the mandates. Mask, vax, whatever, distancing, whatever, stay home, all of them. What's your position on mandates? and tell these voters here in Harris County what you intend to do when faced with another pandemic or scamdemic or whatever you might think that it is. All right. Now, who's first?
Mr. Martinez.
Yay, Mr. Martinez.
I'm against any mandates.
Yes.
Okay, vaccines, masks, anything. What I'm surprised at is, you know, the most dangerous place in the world to be was between Sheila Jackson Lee and a camera, okay, a television camera. Lena Hidalgo has now replaced Sheila in that same spot, okay? And she took us crazily to 4 red alerts now without ever talking to anyone at the medical center. I checked Callender at Memorial Hermann, Mark Wallace at Texas Children's, boom, at Methodist, where I'm on the board. The guys at St. Luke's. She didn't even call them before they built a tent hospital not far from here and didn't see one patient after spending tens of millions of dollars. That's the mindless, that's a 28 and 29-year-old running our county with Rodney letting her do that, okay? Right. Stop that. Well, I'm not for the mandates, and you saw how well the mask worked with the Omicron. I mean, Omicron blew through both vaccines and a booster and the mask, okay? So it's just not necessary. This is the biggest medical center in the world, right here. Talk to the doctors, talk to the scientists, come up with something that's not going to kill your businesses. And by the way, I mean, she may still try to do something to the rodeo. Watch. She's in a corner now. She's got herself in this alert corner now, and logically, she has to come out of it. Otherwise, it was never worthy in the first place. So she's in a box, and I don't believe in mandates, and I believe that there's going to be a different world going forward.
Thank you. Mr.
Howell.
Well, the Johns Hopkins University just issued a comprehensive report that tells us that the shutdowns were really stupid. There's no other way to talk about it. I've been saying for 2.5 years, this is going to go down as the worst mistake the United States has ever made in the history of this country. Senator Ron Johnson, he had a panel of 12 doctors, best doctors in the world, Dr. Peter McCullough, Malone, who of course invented the vaccine that said it's not really safe for human consumption. That's great. Make a long story short, the mandates have to go, and as county judge, I'll do everything possible to avoid doing business with any business or institution that fires an employee for not taking this experimental drug. I will also publish the side effects that are listed in VAERS, a part of the CDC, but no one ever gets to hear it. And I also will publish the ingredients that are in the vaccine. I'll find them. I'll have to dig to find them, but I'll find them and publish them, because for the first time ever, we have a vaccine where the ingredients are not in the box with the bottle. First time ever.
All right.
So,
Mr. Kubash.
Mr. Kubash.
How do you really feel about this, Warren?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at my contract, number 11 on my contract is eliminate mask mandates. Number 12 is eliminate government overreaching. And I want to say this. With that, we have a crime problem, and I think that part of the crime problem, it can be directed directly at closing the houses of worship. That is the pushback on evil in the world. The houses of worship is our pushback, and we've closed them. I will never close houses of worship in Harris County. I will never close the Houston Rodeo. Never. Yeah. Never. It'll never happen. And I will never order the closure of small businesses. Never.
All right.
Thank you.
God, who has to follow that?
No, I'm not.
Not
pick
you.
someone
There
else.
has to be
No,
one.
I just want to bask
I don't
in
want
the
to follow
glory.
Randy again.
I don't even want to read the next
I
question.
approve of that answer, all three of you.
I should have gone to the seminary first.
Yeah, I know.
This is a kind of a complex question. You want me to hit it? 'Cause
I don't want to have to follow that. You go ahead.
We talked about it a little bit earlier, the administration of elections that had been done. I think Mr. Sanchez hit on it. It had been done through the clerk's office, right? That's where the counting was done. The Election Code Title 13, it's up on the screen behind you here, but that was implemented in 2018. It was passed 2019. It went into effect. That's where all this came from. Like they said, only the administrators beholden the majority of the Harris County Commissioners Court rather than hired by Harris County voters. See, I think that you've answered what you would do. I think all of us are in alignment, but
Get rid of it.
to do this, unfortunately, this is allowed through the state legislature by a bill that was passed, okay? So how do you go with that at the county level?
Well, let's see it. For me, by 10:45, this will be on the first day. We're going to eliminate the position.
There you go.
Not every county has it. And Miss Longoria will go she doesn't have a contract with Harris County. You eliminate her position. We tell Kyle Scott to turn the money off. That's it. That's how you do it. You kill it and get rid of this thing. Again, less than 10 counties in the whole state have this. And they do it in some cases for administration because they're so small. But here, we're the biggest county that has it. And we now have 3 elections since then where they were abusing the system, midnight boxes showing up, didn't have to even have ID for ballots and stuff. I mean, it's just ridiculous what they did. And we're going to eliminate that position. Let Stan Stannard go back to doing that and let the county tax assessor, you register to vote in one place and the votes get counted in another. County tax assessor is where you register to vote, and the county and the clerk is the one that counts them. So
right.
Get it back to where they're supposed to be in those buckets.
Check
and
balance
you can get rid of it.
Yeah, you certainly can. Mr. Howe.
Mr. Howell.
Well, he's right. You've got to remove the elections administrator the minute you walk in the door and get it all back. 2020 elections were rife with fraud, and because no court would adjudicate the charges, you know this as a council, with no adjudication, you've got no conclusion. Right. You've got no remedy. And that has been a problem throughout this whole thing of we think it's fraud, we don't think it's fraud, they call it the big lie. That's what happened. I mean, so the ballots that need to be mailed out to voters who can't, for a legitimate reason, vote, they've got to be, the application has got to be accompanied with positive ID, and then when the ballot comes back in, that's got to be accompanied with the same ID, and someone's got to do the checking, okay? And I assume the county clerk will do that. So, and absolutely not ever will we ever use a Dominion voting machine.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Kubash, you have the floor.
Oh, you're good.
That's number 13 on my on 13. Okay, I want you to know that I plan on eliminating all unnecessary bureaucracy, and that is unnecessary bureaucracy. That is the function of the county clerk's job. We need to remove that. I also believe that we should have clear and definable trail. We should be able to have a clear and definable paper trail on every vote. One person, one vote, one citizen per citizen. And that's what I believe. No ballot harvesting. None of this ballot harvesting. It's reeked. All this stuff. People need to, I believe in true the vote. And that's what number 13 will eliminate it. I agree with these two gentlemen.
Thank you. Let's see, we just talked about election integrity. If you've been to BIZPAC, you know that State Attorney General Ken Paxton was in this room at BIZPAC Forum not 2 months ago, back in November, right?
Was it that long ago?
Yeah. It was October, actually.
Okay.
End of October. And there was nothing more that him and his office wanted to do, nothing more they wanted to do than to come into Harris County and perform a forensic audit, a complete audit. There's multiple types of audit that can be done. This legislature did order an audit, but there's three different types of audits mainly that can be done. For the State Attorney General's office to pierce the veil of the county and come in for a forensic audit that's a deep dive into all the goings-on and looking for criminality, it would take one of three or all three, or any combination of them. The governor could executive order the State Attorney General to do it, and he could activate the special unit of the Texas Rangers for abuse by an appointed or elected official, ordering the State Attorney General to go and do an audit. That's one procedure. Another would be our state legislature, if they felt so moved, and they had a 2/3 majority, could override a governor that didn't want it, they could order one. But the State Attorney General cannot do it. The other way is for the district attorney themselves of a county to invite the State Attorney General in for an audit.
All right.
Or an investigation. All right. As Harris County Judge, would you provide total and complete transparency and forensic reporting automatically on all elections to confirm to Harris County voters that their vote actually counts each and every single election and restore our confidence? It's a yes or no, and we'll just go in order from starting with Vidal Martinez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Is it on your card, Randy?
Yeah, what number is it?
What number is it on your card?
We stumped him.
We
We
can
finally
find
got
out.
it.
It'll be on his card tomorrow. You can bet. Okay.
It's number 14, not on that.
Man, you haven't lived until you got on Randy's card, and I just got on Randy's card.
There you go.
All right.
I don't know, are you guys having as much fun out there as we are up here? I mean, are these guys great or what?
Yeah.
Man,
This is it.
am I taking this one?
Okay.
All right. Number 9. So this was the ninth most popular. I can speak English. I know I can. Most popular question we had emailed to us. All right. Harris County Deputy Department of Education seems to be a catch-all that picks up pieces of the education puzzle not currently managed by the ISDs, colleges, and administered through the TEA, like Head Start, after-school programs, some libraries, and some adult education programs. What is the biggest problem to solve for the Harris County Department of Education?
1 minute. Who's first?
Let's go with Mr. Kubash.
All right.
I want to know what number this is.
Well, I believe it overlaps all these other departments. I just think we just need to close it. Every other county has closed it. We need to shut it down.
Thank you.
Good enough. That took 10 whole seconds, Mr. Martinez. Can you beat that?
No, because I don't have a card. Look, there are 20 school districts in Harris County. There's 27 in our whole area. The combined budget of those school districts exceeds the county's annual budget. They're in the business of doing that. Why did we give $10 million to early childhood education when we don't operate a single classroom or turn on a single light bulb? It's to teach critical race theory to these kids right now. And the county, this education, I'm with Randy. Eliminate it. There's no reason for it to be around. No more county money to any. And by the way, they gave all that money out to campaign consultants that are now teaching these kids how bad we are and why we're victims of something and why we have a bad history as a country. Ridiculous. Get rid of those mechanisms and get back to business. No Board of Education. We don't need a Harris County Board of Education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Howell.
Okay, well, that's exactly what I was going to say. We will eliminate the Harris County Department of Education and let the school districts do their job.
Yep.
Okay? No more interference. We will, however, maintain the libraries, which is our job. And we'll make sure that the books in those libraries need to be there. And they're not going to teach CRT And we're not going to teach Marxism. The only thing that we can do in those regards is educate people the difference between Marxism, socialism, communism, dictatorships, and our government, which is a democratic republic. So we will, to that point, make sure that books are educational. But there'll be no promotion of hate groups. There'll be no great books about how great BLM is or anything else. And we'll get back to doing what we're supposed to do, and then our budget will drop that one notch. And we keep doing that. We're going to take $2 billion out of our budget when all the dust settles. And that's going to lower our taxes exponentially.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. Would like to do that?
You want me to take this?
Sure.
All right, question number 10. Many area hospital systems lost staff numbers due to self-administered vaccine mandates. Doctors, physician's assistants, and nurses, a precious essential resource to Harris County, its best in-class Texas medical center, and our many hospital systems county-wide. Oddly, during a pandemic, some big medical hospital systems took a hard line on employee policy in line with Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo, forcing mandates as a requirement of employment, and actually fired large numbers of essential medical staff. Other private hospitals, private care facilities, and private treatment centers did not follow that strict standard. What policy would you put forward as Harris County Judge regarding hospital staff and mandates?
None. None. Most people don't understand what actually occurred. The premise of the question is false. What happened here is that I'm sitting on Methodist Hospital. It's the #1 hospital and the biggest medical center in the country. We were one of the first ones that had this the employees issue when the vaccine mandate came down. But it came from the Biden administration a year into it. And if you're a hospital that has any sort of operations, you are federally funded more than 50% by Medicare and Medicaid. And it came from the federal government. And the employees had all these boxes that they could check: religious exemption, immunocompromised, and there's over 1,000. Methodist has 28,000 employees. Hundreds, possibly over 1,000, are in this alternative box. They didn't have to take the vaccines. They're in different places in the hospital, but you do that. We had about 120 people that they would not take their vaccines and were dismissed. Of those 120, about 100 of them are back. You know why? Because they went to any other hospital in the area, and guess what? It was the same rule. Same rule at Harris Health System, same rule at St. Luke's, Memorial Hermann, and they're back, okay? So this whole idea that we were taking people's freedoms away, call President Biden. You know, I've just bought my 4th box of candles from Amazon, and I'm lighting a candle every day to Joe Biden's health because I need him in place all the way through November. I've never seen anyone that could screw up something so badly, but he's the one. They're the ones that put that mandate in place. And what happened is most people that just didn't want to do it, the news got out and it looked like big bad hospitals. This thing came from on high with the money that comes with it, and every hospital has its income model with over 50% Medicare and Medicaid. This wasn't even a conversation at the board level. This is a management decision. It's a fiscal responsibility decision at that point. I'm sorry some people got their feelings hurt, and I agree with being able to protect your freedoms, but if you have your parent in an operating room, do you really want someone with COVID in that operating room? And that's what the medical community had to come back and say, for that lone reason, you have to do that. And it didn't. This is not new. It's not. Every big hospital in the country has that. And people, I've actually been in conversations with people that say, no, this hospital doesn't. And you ask them to go check, and yes, they do.
All right. Thank you.
It's optics then. A lot of it is optics. Okay.
I should have got you to read that question
No,
because he kept looking at me the whole
I'm
time.
gonna give that to you.
He was looking at me. I didn't like it. I was getting
I
scared.
just want you to get all the glory.
That is not glorious.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Howell.
You know, Senator Ron Johnson had this panel with all these doctors from all over the world. and it's obvious the masks don't work. They did bring out a mask that did work. It had 2 big puffs on either side. And he said, man, don't let Biden know about that because he's going to order one for everybody. You know, it was pretty funny. But he's right. The hospitals got trapped with the rule that they had to do it if they are paid by federal funds. And the Supreme Court, I don't know what idiot brought the mandate challenge to the Supreme Court, but he wasn't very smart because the actual side effects to the vaccine are there. My wife's a doctor. She got a call this morning. A 23-year-old healthy young woman was forced to take the vaccine or encouraged, I don't know which, from her company that she works for. She's at the emergency room right now with heart problems, perfectly fine. So don't tell me this vaccine doesn't have side effects. It does. So, and don't go to the Supreme Court and say for religious reasons, because they're going to put, you know, that's going to go right out the door. They needed to take the side effects with the evidence and the doctors that support it from around the world. I think they would have won the case. So, and what really chaps me though is the hospitals do have these great doctors. Where's the challenge back to stop them from doing this? Where is that? Well, wait a minute. You know, sometimes people need to just say no, you know, and not just, well, okay, that's the way it is. No, sometimes we need to get together as a group and just say no. You know, this whole country started from the people, didn't it? Remember the revolution? It wasn't anyone else. It's not the governments, it's the people that create change. And we have got to get together finally and do that. And say no.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Mr. Kubash.
Well, I think you already know number 11. I'm against mask mandates, but I want to say I agree with what Vidal said, and when we talk about the revolution, if you study the revolution, only 3% of the people actually participated in the revolution. So it doesn't take many of us to make a change. It doesn't take many. Just 3%, and we're involved. So I believe that. I agree with Warren on that, and I believe that you have to have courage. Now, I want to tell you, my brothers and I, we have courage. And you have, if you elect Randy Kubash, you're electing someone who's got the courage to stand up against all the bad choices, the bad politicians. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Kubash.
Thank you. Okay. We have a question from State Representative Valerie Swanson.
Ooh.
He's going to bring you the microphone, Valerie Swanson.
Oh, no, you need
She's
some
from District
FaceTime
150,
up here.
which is Round Spring, and her question is regarding the redistricting. We're going to need you to come forward to the
he wants
center
me to
if you
come
don't
over
mind.
here.
Yeah, we got to get you on video.
Representative Swanson.
Thank you. Again, I'm State Representative Valerie Swanson, and very honored to be endorsed by BIZPAC. Appreciate that. I am serving my 3rd term and running for the 4th. Need your support. I am always rated in the top 10% and get perfect ratings from groups like NFIB, National Federation of Independent Business, and pro-life groups, pro-family. And I did want to mention on some of these things, we've been working, I have been on the state level, 3rd term on elections committee, so I helped write and get past the strongest elections bills that we have ever had. I also am happy to say that I co-authored and helped pass 2 bills, one to stop large cities from defunding the police, and one that we squeaked through at the end that's very important to those of us who don't live in the city but live in the county. We passed the bill to make it illegal for the counties to defund the sheriffs and the constables. So I also was a co-author of 2 bills where we made it illegal to teach CRT. We've worked on many of these issues. We had bail bond issues. We passed one bill, but one of them took a constitutional amendment. And we keep hearing about constitutional amendments and needing 2/3. If you want some of this stuff passed that takes a Texas constitutional amendment, you're going to have to get us more Republicans, because obviously the other side will never vote for these things, and Republicans can't get it done if it takes a 2/3 vote of each house. So please find swing districts and help us get more Republicans. So here's my question. As you all know, the Democrat-controlled Commissioners Court recently came out and passed a redistricting plan that's quite controversial, has a lot of big effects, and I want to hear from each of you, what do you like or dislike about it? Like specifically 3 or 4 things that are really good or really bad. And as you know, they took it all the way to the state Supreme Court, and the all-Republican Texas Supreme Court decided it was too late to change it for the primary ballot, but the lawsuit is not dead. I want to hear exactly what you think is right or wrong about it. Give me at least 4 things, and what are you going to do about it?
Why don't you just ask an easy question?
Oh.
No, that's great.
No yes or no questions from me.
She's used to being put on the spot.
You want me to start?
If you would like to, go ahead.
I do. This is my pet peeve. It's one of the main 3 things I'm going to concentrate on as your judge. This is the most corrupt. This is how it was before Rodney Ellis got hold of it. It's still a jigsaw puzzle. This has been going on for a long time, folks. This is Rodney Ellis's map, which is horrible. I think Cagle or one of them, they got moved out of their own house or had to, or would have to move in order to be in the right district. I forget which one it was, but that's a mess. Anyway, to make a long story short, politicians will do what they have to do to get reelected. As your county judge, I do not care about being reelected. In fact, I don't plan on being reelected. I plan on serving 1 term, and then you can find me by going up 71 to Llano, turning left, go 9.5 miles down 16, turn right, go 3.5 miles up 113, and I'll be on the porch with my boots up.
I like that.
But before I go, we're going to get this on the ballot, because Commissioners Court, like it or not, are politicians. They want to be reelected, and as the population moves around, so do they. Can you imagine what Harris County boundaries would look like if we moved it around pursuant to the change in the demographics? Can you imagine? This is a geographical map. Harris County's job is geographical. Each person needs to be in charge of an area, not a population or a particular neighborhood up in here, because they might vote for me, okay? We've got to get back to business. And if we can get this much out of Commissioners Court in politics,
10 seconds.
Just think how much more good they can do for the citizens of Harris County.
Thank you, sir.
This is what we got to do.
Amen. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Kubash.
Can I borrow that?
Yes.
I love this in concept. I really do. I think it's a great idea.
Make that number 15.
I love it because, you know, it's a breath of fresh air, because I've been in politics so long. I've been seeing how these maps are drawn, and it's just the most gerrymandering you ever seen in your life, and it's ridiculous. And I love it. I don't know if we can ever get it done, but I will be for it.
We'll get it done.
Perfect.
All right,
You want
Mr.
to borrow
Martinez. How do you keep following that?
I hate following Randy. Look, folks, what they just did to us, they flipped 4 and 3 into each other. We call it now Precinct 7. They just overlaid Cagle and Ramsey into each other's districts. Then they tried to weaken Cagle's district. They displaced 2.1 million people. The pig rule is about to take effect here legally. They displaced 2.1 million voters for 6 years, because they won't get to vote for Ramsey's people for 4 more years now, and he got elected 2 years ago. You can't do that. Andy Taylor is in the Mark Golub in Austin. Fabulous team, fabulous brief. I've read it. They're going to win that case going forward. It is the most egregious violation of election laws in the country. You can't displace that many people. So it's going to come back. It's going to get redrawn. And when that happens, we better have a 3-2 majority on Commissioner's Court to be able to redraw it. But that, right now, you asked, where's Valerie? Right here. What did I do? I put $10,000 of my own money, not campaign money. I put $10,000 of my own money into the election suit right now. And so I'm not a plaintiff there.
Thank you.
Can I say one thing?
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay, all right, finish. Go.
And if you read the brief, and most scholars believe the same thing, the Texas Supreme Court was right because of the compressed time frame that they couldn't take it up, but they are still going to take it up, and that lawsuit is alive and well, and people are watching to see what happens because it's going to knock Rodney Ellis and crew right back on their heels on what they just did. What they did is phenomenally illegal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I say
Thank you for
one
that contribution.
But if
that
this
you made
was
for that.
done, there'd be no more lawsuits.
That was nice.
There'd be no more anything because now it's a geographical area and they've got to take care of it, and that's the end of it.
Okay.
Just think.
And that's the end of it.
That's the end of it. Valerie Swanson and I were speaking earlier, and she told me, and I'd like for you to tell the audience, you'll just have to yell it at them.
No. I got this.
If you don't mind. How long will it be because of this Rodney Ellis redistricting, flopping district thing around, how long will it be before you get to vote again?
6 years. I'm part of that group that, thank goodness, I do like Tom Ramsey. I'm endorsed by both Commissioners Ramsey and Commissioner Cagle. But I'm in part of that group because Vidal is correct. They essentially swapped the two districts to make these folks run in districts where they were not known. And it means that some people voted for Tom Ramsey 2 years ago, and they don't even get represented by the person they voted for. And other people like me up in my area, we don't get to vote for 6 solid years. We have a different commissioner than the one we voted for, and we won't get to vote. But there are other problems. I was talking to Commissioner Ramsey, and when they redrew this, Commissioner Cagle ended up with both of their headquarters, and Precinct 3, Tom Ramsey, ended up with no headquarters. So there are just, it was ridiculously drawn. I do want to call your attention to the fact that in any redistricting, whether it's what we, at the state level, we do redistricting for U.S. Congress, Texas Senate, Texas House, and State Board of Education, and occasionally the some of the courts that are the appellate courts. And Commissioner's Court does these. And all of us, though, are under federal law and federal court cases that say we must, we must draw them to protect majority districts. So when you look at them and go, oh, those people, oh, it's all gerrymandering, much of it is done because you have to gather enough Hispanics together, if they have the numbers in the county, to have their own person, and you have to have enough African Americans together. And in some areas they have enough Asians. So please understand, we cannot just draw 4 boxes because it will lead to them being overthrown at the federal level. So we don't believe that we would not have court cases. It would be unlimited and they would definitely be thrown out. We're stuck with that. We do the best we can. But thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Swanson. If you just get familiar with these maps really quickly. If you look, here's district precinct number 4 of Rodney Ellis. Now 10 years ago, precinct number 4 was precinct number 3 is. If you start taking a look, where's number 3 now? Where's number 4 now? You'll understand what they did. They did this to stay in office, okay? That's what they did.
Sure.
And to disenfranchise the voters.
Amen.
That's what happened there. So we're going to move on. We've got a great guest speaker coming up here right now.
All right.
Right now.
Tell me who it is.
Yes.
Tell me who it is.
Kimberly Rawson. She's a citizen activist, a good friend of many years. She's a former Deputy Associate Director of White House Homeland Security Council under George W. Bush. She has a question about the qualifications that the candidates that we are choosing to represent us. What are their qualifications?
And she has really
to
cool
handle
shoes on,
emergency
too.
management.
Well, you know, red, white, and blue sparkles.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
You want her in the middle? Jason, come to the middle, please.
There you go.
Thank you.
What special qualifications and experience do you all have to manage the Harris County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management?
Start out with Mr. Martinez.
I've already done it as a port commissioner. We're Homeland Security, you know what worries me? 3 million containers coming 47 miles up the ship channel, and some terrorist blows up a nuclear material in the middle of our ship channel. You know what that'll do to Houston and Texas at that point? We were involved with security management my entire time on the Port Commission. And it still, in the middle of the night, I wake up thinking, what are we going to do to stop that? And we did. And Ned Holmes was the chairman, and we put in all sorts of security measures. I'm not going to have a problem with emergency management systems. I've been there.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know,
Mr. Howe.
I was talking to Commissioner Cagle. One thing I like about Commissioner Cagle is, and I asked him, why wouldn't you want to be judge? He says, because I like putting my rubber boots on and being out there during the flood, and being at the command centers and staying there until everything is good. So we got some good people handling the disasters that might come across. We've got good people. We just have to make sure we keep good people in the right place, and that the people that we have are well trained. I'm not an expert in security, but I'm darn sure hire one to make sure that we're in good shape. And that's all I can do as your county judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Howe.
Well, having lived in Southeast Texas all my life, I've been through a lot of hurricanes. I remember Hurricane Carla in '61 and Hurricane Cindy in '63 flooded my parents' home. And I remember I stayed here during Rita, and also the other Ike. And I built a house, so I built a nice big house, so I decided to stay there and weather it out. But I want to tell you that we have to rely on people in law enforcement, the weather. We have to rely on first responders and the engineers and all these people. We need to rely on their expertise to be able to pool the resources together so that we can make the appropriate actions. Because I remember my son and daughter and my ex-wife, they're all stuck on the road, on the highway, on Rita, and they were caught, and I had to tell them how to get to College Station, and it was horrific. All these people were stranded on the highway, so we've got to do a better job. I believe we have to rely, and I believe that we're doing a better job, but we still, we also need to we need to appeal to the governor. He promised her $500 million to build a third reservoir in the Katy Prairie and Waller. We need to do that, and maybe the tunnel system will actually be done. I heard it's $70 million a mile, and then probably 30 miles or whatever it is.
That's nothing now.
But I still support that, and I believe that we've got to rely on the weather forecasters, and that's what we got to do.
All right.
I can't believe you're sitting down.
Yeah, that's the first.
Are you getting tired?
Is this the first one you've sat down?
Possibly.
Okay.
Wait, Mr. Martinez wanted to add one thing.
Well, I think we're about to go into closing statements, and so you can just.
Well, let me just follow up with what Randy said, because it's apropos to this subject. Let me tell you what you don't do as your county judge, as your 30-year-old county judge. Remember when the Astroworld disaster happened and 10 people got killed? The next day, this is our emergency management officer, gets in front of national TV and throws the Houston policemen and firefighters under the bus. You saw that, Michael. Remember that? And it just turned out to be that she just loves, remember the Sheila Jackson Lee rule? She's got the camera in front of her. And that's not what a county judge does to handle emergency management. You also don't intrude on Constable Galloway's family funeral the way that she did. If you all haven't seen it.
Hard to argue that.
Be a leader.
We're running a little bit over time. This is my fault entirely, and I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But now we're going to have each candidate give a closing statement. Let's give 2 minutes to each candidate, and then we're going to open up for some refreshments. So who do we start out with?
We start out with Mr. Martinez.
Okay, thank you. I enjoyed being here today. Those questions are the most comprehensive ones that any of us have gotten in any of these things. So congratulations to the organizers, the people that put this together, because this was very important to have.
Thank you, BIZPAC.
You people.
Thank you.
It was those people.
On January 2nd, you're going to be invited to my swearing in, okay? And on January 3rd, this is what's going to happen. I've already talked to Cagle and Ramsey, CRM we call it, Cagle, Ramsey, Martinez. And we decided we're going to have a little bit of a late lunch. We're going to try to do this by 1 o'clock, okay? First item is to kill bail reform. Second item, fire the elections administrator and eliminate the position. The third item is to fire the county czar right now and not fire him yet. Put in our own person, and that job is to fire the 400 people that they've hired in the last couple of years. And then 90 days later, eliminate that position and give it back to them. We're gonna put the DI on a performance plan. You want more lawyers? Show us you're reducing crime. We're gonna give the money back to the sheriffs that they were promised and the constables back what they were doing. And we're not going to raise taxes. That's gonna happen in the first or second meeting that we have. I promise you, we're not going to have 14-hour meetings where you're discussing policy issues or something that you learned at the school of George Soros. And we found ourselves with the sleeper folks. All of a sudden in 2018, poof, on first base is the accidental county judge, all of 27 years old at the time. And she has led this into the social, woke, left agenda, CRT, BLM world that they think is the new order of the day. And they have a mission, but we're not that way in Harris County. And if we don't stop her now, then the Latino community is going to see her as the only leader out there of any consequence. She spends 4 more years with executive experience. They're rounding the bases on Austin. They're going to second base on Austin. Yeah. And not since 1972, when Richard Nixon was elected, has any Republican president won the White House without carrying Texas. Now, if Texas goes blue, and it could in the next election, okay, in 26, it could. Well, you say that, but just think about it. We have 5 big counties. 4 of them are completely Democratic. Harris County is purple because Ed Emmett only lost by 19,000 votes, and our ring of Republicans is bigger than their central city. So we have a chance to get Harris County back and stop her from moving on to Austin. But if it goes blue, California, Texas being blue, and New York, they'll run the table on us, and not a person in this room will ever see a Republican president in our lifetime again. So think about it. We can stop her right now in this election. I'm the person that can do it. I've got the resume for it. I've got the experience for it. I've been around here for 47 years, which is half longer than our county judge has even been alive. I know the issues. I've been in the Greater Houston Partnership Board meetings. I've been the Port Authority. I've been State Bar Chairman. I've been Hospital Director, Bank of America. Just look at my resume. I've been at University of Houston Board of Regents. I've been on every big thing that you could possibly be on, probably for the last 40 years around here. And so I have the experience. I've made management decisions and financial decisions of over $200 billion. And somebody needs to go out in the Hispanic community. And by the way, in all these positions, I'm the lone Latino on these boards. First one at the partnership board. I've been out there in the Latino community. They know me, all right? And they know Orlando, too. We just hadn't been in the business of asking them and reminding them that they're pro-life, they're pro-Second Amendment, they're pro-work, they're low taxes. I mean, just keep going down the line. Latinos are Republicans. We just hadn't shown them that. And if you saw what happened to the 2 of the 4 big counties in South Texas this last time, they flipped to Republican. And that's what's going to happen right here. So I'm the only one that can meld all of these together and raise the money. It's going to take another $5 or $6 million to beat her, and we're going to get outspent. But I'm the person that can go out and raise that kind of money and have the resume, have the touch with my Latino community, and put all that together to take our county back for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was the most perfect timekeeping speech I've ever seen in my life. It was 4 minutes on the dot.
4 minutes exactly.
Okay.
All right, who wants to go after that? Anybody? Bueller?
Randy, hand me your card.
Bueller?
Okay, here's the deal. The citizens of Harris County have a decision to make. Do they keep voting for politicians with all kinds of education and credentials, or do they finally trust someone from the private sector with experience to manage? I've been managing businesses for 50 years. I think I've been training for this job all my life. I didn't know it, but I have been. You know, Senator Barry Goldwater said it best when he left office. And this is a quote, "I wish I had known just how bad the laws and regulations were when I was voting for him." So this is when he went back and started a hotel business. Harris County, indeed, the whole country has suffered greatly at the hands of educated public figures with great credentials. So just ask yourself this question: who up here today will do everything possible to make our precinct boundaries permanent? And here's the thing, our population is so dense that I bet we meet the formulas that she was speaking of. I bet we do. But if we don't, wouldn't be the first time I got beat up. Who's going to increase our crime fighting budget by $350 million and get our formulas to 1 officer per 1,000? Who's going to grab the sheriff and go down to the jails, figure out what's going wrong, draw up the procedures, put people in solitary confinement where they don't follow our House rules, which they're going to sign and agree to follow. And if they don't sign and agree to follow our House rules, they go into solitary confinement until they do. What's going to move our hospitals back to normal? Dropping COVID protocols that don't work, causing pain and suffering for just about everyone, including patients. Remember the guy that I visited, tried to get to see, he was dying. You know the story. I sat there and I went through all the COVID protocol, and then everyone said, "You're good to go except for one thing. He's already had his one visitor today, and he's dying." And I started arguing with him, and then I got a text message from his wife that he had passed, and that was it.
I already put it up there.
So that's got to stop at all hospitals. And I hope on the board of Methodists that you're doing that. Who's going to remove the mask mandates, the vaccine mandates, and publish all the side effects and the ingredients as I spoke of? Who's going to make it against the law for a company or institution to terminate people for not taking the vaccine? Who's going to cut your taxes? Who's going to pressure these judges into doing what they have to do? Who's going to pressure them to no longer give bonds, multiple bonds to violent criminals? Who has the balls, pardon my French?
There it is. There it is.
That's finally slipped out.
That is French. That is French, by the way. If we got a judge that's given the wrong bonds, I'll stand on their desk until they either arrest me or quit doing it. And I will do it. I'll throw a brick at a hornet's nest.
Your wife is going to need a lot of bail money.
That's right. So it's time that we we gave a guy named Donald Trump a chance from the private sector. Whether you liked him or not, his results were pretty good. His policies were good. I promise you to do the same thing. And as he said, we're going to take Harris County back.
Excellent. Thank you. Whoa, that was 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
Unbelievable.
You guys are good. All right, Randy.
And I'll bond you out of jail after you stand on that desk, too. Well, I want to tell you, My brothers and I, we've been active in the community, in the Houston, Harris County community for over 25 years. That means something. We've gathered thousands of ballots, and 186,633 citizens of Houston agreed with the Kubash brothers to get rid of the red light cameras. So that goodwill, we have, my brothers and I, when my brother Paul's a traffic ticket defense attorney, and he has 300,000 clients over the last 27, 28 years, and we have a lot of goodwill out there. I can't go to a restaurant without somebody saying, hey, Kubash. Now, sometimes they think I'm my brother Michael, or sometimes they think I'm my brother Paul, but I'm going to just tell you, we have a lot of goodwill. And also, I want to also say that a lot of people were trying to get my brother to run for county judge, but he doesn't want to run. I think y'all have a pretty good idea what he's going to run for. He's term limited, and this is what his passion is. He can't announce. But I was listening to those conversations, and they were telling us that the Kubash name, it's a Czech name. My father's descendants were from Czechoslovakia. They came over from Europe, and they were farmers. And my dad was a roughneck, and he drilled for sulfur, and that's when he met my mama. And my mama was a pretty woman. And so that's who we are. It's easy to name. We're going to look at a ballot of 9 people. There's going to be one name that stands out. And also, I want to tell you, my brother gets elected in the city of Houston, and he wins 60% in the minority community. And why is that? The reason why is because people in the minority community knows that Kubashes care about people. They know that we care. They know that we love people. And I tell you, each one of these gentlemen up here, I've learned that they're fine gentlemen. I respect them. I just love Vidal. Warren's a fine gentleman. And the other people that are not here are good people. But I want to say that we love people. We care about people. But also, I believe in making a stand and doing what's right. And I want you to know that I didn't wait. My brother and I, we didn't wait to call out these judges till I become county judge. I didn't do that. We called them out a couple of weeks ago, and we are calling it. You can look at my Facebook page, my brother's Facebook page, and you can see these horrific cases where people have been murdered, and they should never have, these perpetrators should never have been released. And you want to know who's going to take action? I believe that you can be certain that Randy Kubash would be the person that you would best serve your own interest in the county as a county judge. And I would appreciate your vote, and I'd appreciate you going out and telling all your family, if you believe in what I'm saying, if you believe in someone who took care of both of his parents, didn't have to, I put my own life on hold, because that is a bigger commitment, because I'm promising to the citizens of Harris County that I keep my promises. And you have this contract, and I know we all had a good laugh about it, but this is a solemn oath by Randy Kubash that I will do everything that I'm promising you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming and making this possible, all the questions you provided, all the people that volunteered and helped out asking questions with their credibility from their career, their lifetime, and becoming subject matter experts. Thank these candidates. I have had the pleasure of getting to know them. I love all 3 of them. This is one of the hardest decisions we've ever had to make, but I encourage you, take what you learned here today, and let's go have some refreshments.
Yes, please join us for refreshments. Right in the room next door here.
Very good.
All I can say.
You did.